Welcome back, everybody. I'm DJ Chucky, and this is In the Mixx podcast. Today we have Mayelin López. Hola, Mayelin, ¿cómo estás?
I'm so glad to be here, guys. I know we were trying to meet prior to this interview, so I'm very happy we were able to accomplish it. So.
No, I like it because, every interview that we make here, and in my case, is me trying to get into your world, like learning the things that I didn't know. Like, I'm very curious about all your work. How did you get started doing art?
I started doing art since 2012, specifically referring to the Dominican Carnival. My inspiration was, how am I going to teach my kids about the Dominican culture? That was the first thought that I had. Because my two kids are in the autism spectrum. So for them, toys is the mechanism of communication.
Yes.
So based on that, the therapies used to come with different toys. And then it spiked a little bit of, what can I invent with this? Some of the pieces that you're gonna see later in the art gallery was based on that little bit of curiosity that I had.
And you're coming from the Dominican Republic, and did you start doing it there, or was it developed here in the United States, in Elizabeth, New Jersey? How do you transfer from coming to the DR to the United States?
I do have an artistic background. I study advertisement in the Universidad of APEC in Santo Domingo City.
Yes.
So the background is coming from there.
Okay.
I did a lot of photography, I did branding, logo design, and I had an advertisement company in the Dominican Republic before moving to the United States. So that's the background that you might be looking for. But the curiosity of the carnival is because my mother used to have a travel agency. So with the travel agency, you used to do let's do the trip to La Vega, to El Carnaval. Right. And then I have a deeper appreciation to the Dominican culture as the folklore, or only the arts.
And for the people that don't know, in the Dominican Republic, in different places, they have different carnivals that they look different and everything. And the La Vega Carnival is different from any other.
Any other part of the city.
It's kind of like, international acclaim for the colorfulness of it and all of the stuff that they get to do. So you used to go there when you were a kid?
Oh, yes.
They take you to all these festivities?
Yes, from the age of 13 to 20. Because this is another thing. The carnival is not only one period of the time a year. Because sometimes February is the Day of Independence is the biggest day, the biggest celebration. Right. But every city has their own carnival. Right. The one that I'm more experienced at the most in this exhibit will be the Carnaval of Santiago because of the diversity of the colors.
Okay. So what do you learn from those experiences that brought you to what you're doing now? Because I see in your exhibit that there's, masks, and there's a lot of colors, there's a lot of inventive things too, like this box that we see here. Like, I want you to tell me a little bit more about, the inspiration behind it. I know it's just Dominican Republic and the carnival. Of course. But this is deeper than that. Like, you were explaining to us, we didn't really realize what was happening, and then what is this box doing here? And you're like, wait.
People thought it was garbage.
Right.
In the beginning, some people come to the exhibit and Dominicans start crying right away. Let's be very clear about something. The experience that you have as a Dominican living in foreign waters is very different than a Dominican living in the Dominican Republic.
Yes, that's sure.
We call it el sentimiento del dominicano ausente.
Yes.
So our way of communication is, if there's something I don't use anymore, or my mom requesting something that you need, or we always has a little bit more than them in the island.
Yes.
So the box is the first way of communication that we have. Please start throwing everything that you don't use anymore in a box so you can be shipped to me. That's our expression of love, really. Wow. For somebody, it would be a simple box. For my mother, wow, my daughter finally sent me a box.
Send me azúcar americana.
Oh my God, everything from the United States.
Right.
In this case, the emotional effect that has the carnival in me is inclusion. What mask you decided to wear today?
True.
Because even though if you're going through stuff in your life, in your house, At the end of the day, you need to come outside and go to work with a smile on your face.
Yes.
Carnival gives you the freedom to be whoever you really are with a mask on. Full of joy, full of color, even though if you're suffering. The Dominican person, when he's sad, he parties. When he is going through mourning, it's a party. When it's a birthday celebration, it's a party. So this is a celebration of the core of being an islander. So that's what it really is.
That's incredible. How do you get started with this, with, brand developing and what push do you, because there's a lot of things that we have ideas when we come to this country. We have a lot of
Yes.
ideas, we have dreams, but it takes investment to get to that. It takes help. It takes, where do you get your help from?
That's why you see upcycling. Half of the pieces that are in this exhibit is materials that you can find around your house. You have the gallon of oil. What are you going to do with it? Half of the mask in the flag are filled with old clothing from my kids' childhood. Most of the materials that you see around is detergent bottles that I used after I washed my clothes in the laundromat. So the first source of resource is in my backyard. And when you come up with ideas like this, to find the support, that's the first step. That's when the city comes about. That's when the Renaissance Foundation comes about.
Yes.
When they start and they place the call for women's exhibit and is an exhibition only for famous artists in the city, that's when you need to have confidence in the people that surround you in your group, because it was a friend of mine that just said, Mayelin, is your name all over. I found a flyer. They're requesting to see artists in the city that come with bright ideas of art. It has your name all over. I was like, nah, I don't think so. Yes. So that's why you really need to surround yourself with people who really know you. And I always talk about the power of one. It was one person who told me, I think it fits you perfectly. And look where we are right now. So,
how do you think? What's the name of your exhibition? Is it reconnect or something? What does that reconnect have to do with what you do?
The exhibition in the beginning, we wanted to call it Parallels because is very deeply rooted in inclusion. So we wanted to create, and that's why you see sometimes in the video in the spot that you can see kids dancing the same way Dominican dancers do it. So we just wanted to show that there's nothing bad when we let an autistic kid run out of their energy. We're always trying to put a stop. And most of the time, the Dominican Carnival is referring about family. Family groups that are deep-rooted in folklore that comes with these beautiful customs every year. So in the beginning, we wanted to call Parallel. And then we continue to call it Travesía because we have developed some 3D puzzles based on areas of the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
So Travesía means going to those little spots on the beach. You're staying in the hotel, but then you find somebody who says, look, you need to go down the street. And you know the lady who fried the fish?
Yeah.
So that's why we call it Travesía. So this is Travesía point 2.
Right, because it's like the places that you find that key to...
You find my recommendation or somebody in the eye.
Okay.
But the first idea is when you walked into the space that you see Los Gringos, the little mask in the corner, because it's so multicultural. And it's the same thing as Dominicans. We're not one color. And racial profiling is not only internationally, we have it inside in the Dominican Republic too. So when you walk into this space, it's like getting out of the Newark airport and coming to the Aeropuerto of Santiago. And you see the beautiful dancers with the colors. You saw the beautiful dancers with the colors of the Dominican Republic, giving you a little cup of rum for you to enjoy. But the piece is more referring to, we always judge by walking in groups of Dominicans. So every time you're walking in a town, people can say, oh my God, look, that's the group of Dominicans. So they always calling the flag, not individually. So when you see you come closer to the piece, you will see that all the pieces are different. So literally, you need to approach me to know me beside you judge me as a group. So that's what that piece is referring to.
Very nice. We are in a mix with Mayelin López. She's an artist that started her journey using, everyday
Everyday
items,
items.
and then it became what it is today. How you talk to me about a little bit about your family, because before you were an artist, period by itself, but then you became a mom. How did that shape your view of art, and how did it influence your art, being a mother and all of that?
Well, let me tell you something. This is when, it sounds crazy, but this is when the city has a big impact in me. Because choosing where you're going to raise your kids
Right.
is the main priority.
So you chose to live in
To live in
Elizabeth,
Elizabeth.
New Jersey.
Because my first child got diagnosed at the age of 3. But we already know something was going on. And then when you get the diagnosis, education and primary care, therapy, the amount and the abundance of therapy that you need is very big. So I really couldn't afford to have a regular job. Because when I moved here, I work in a newspaper. It didn't work out. And then I tried to create a coupon magazine for the city of Elizabeth. It didn't work out. I worked with some Jews, I worked with some Portuguese, I packed up. I did everything that, when you come with the idea of what you want to do in the United States, sometimes you need to put your ego to a side. This is a country that will humble you fast. And on top of that, it has to humble you because you already come with a career, but at the same time, you're a mother of 2 kids in the spectrum. So it's not like you can have a regular position anywhere. You need to rely on those temporary jobs that the city is offering for you to be able to do what you can do and be able to get out and do the therapy. So having the space to do that, that's what I'm most grateful of.
Having the space to be able
Having the space to be a mom and provide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I'm like, really, your story is taking me to different places. It's taking me back to the Dominican Republic. It's bringing me back here. It's making me relive all the things that we have to go through to really like make a name for you in this country, right? And you were telling me that your kids are in the autism spectrum.
Yes.
Does it show in your art any of that, like that experience that you had with your kids and living with that? Does it show in your art?
Yes.
You were telling me a story about your kid that you were in and they wanted to eat the.
Oh, yes. I was telling him the story the day of the opening of the exhibit.
Yeah.
My kids weren't supposed to be here that day. So the co-parenting aspect had some hiccups that day. And we're like, okay, so we're taking the kids to the exhibit. And then this is when the art comes alive. I remember that day, Porfirio Garcia was telling me, how are we going to communicate to the crowd that it's an interactive exhibit? You can interact. It's very sensory and all that. So I was like, don't worry about it. I think my kids are going to be able to translate that. So in the middle of my speech, and the previous speaker, when he was talking, my daughter started saying, wow, that's amazing. So it was putting a little bit of let's just take it step by step. Let's not be so uptight. Yes. But later on, when I started speaking, she got up and started eating the bodegon. She started putting the fries in her mouth, even though it was made of cardboard. And it was a very touching moment for everybody because she was identifying herself with the piece. Some of the pieces here are based on my kids' diet because kids in the spectrum or any disability have a very strict diet. They might eat 3 items the whole year and that would be it. You will spend years trying to get them to try something new. Other of the pieces are based on my son's accomplishments. Everything that he was able to do till now. From the summer programs that the city has, they have community access that they will hire the kids with different disabilities to be able to find jobs during the summer. But they will place them not in whatever they want. They will place them in whatever the kids want to study in college. So they will find companies that have that piece of inclusion in their team and they will place them there and guide them like a paid internship. So one of the mass that is one that continue to grow is based on those things from the oldest one. So yeah.
Okay. So good. I mean, I'm learning all the things that you have to say about your journey. Where can people see your art? Where do they can find you, in the internet, and if you have other places that they can come and see your art?
First of all, the exhibit is going to be running till December. It's a growing exhibit. We have pieces here, for example, the amapola tree with a swing that everybody can swing in the swing.
Yeah.
The amapola tree is going to grow. It's going to bloom.
Okay.
It's going to get more branches. It's going to get more flowers. So right now we're exhibiting here in the Vintage City. We're only, I think, 25 to 30 minutes away from Penn Station, New York.
Yes.
You just come out of the train and you're right there. You can find me in Instagram, is the only way right now, because we're restructuring everything, because we wanted to be more inclusive with other things and other programs. The city, the tourism part of Elizabeth, the Renaissance Foundation, Midtown Elizabeth, even Vintage City have a big commitment to the community. They really want to use the space to bring kids from every school to take classes in recycling, the importance of taking care of your city. So they mainly focus right now in how we're gonna integrate all of that in one space. One space meaning in this gallery, but in many, many spaces around the city. They're doing amazing work. So that's the main focus for us. But any other information that you might need, if you come to the offices of the Elizabeth Grand Chamber, you can find information here that will provide information of every artist.
Yes.
And even City Hall with Ms. Phyllis, she will provide information too.
Yes.
And at the same time, we welcome other artists. I'm not the only person exhibiting. I know after me, we're collecting or trying to find other people who are interested in showcasing their art. So the door is open to creativity. And at the same time, the door is open for business. At the end of the day, it's a business. We want business in Elizabeth. We want the city to grow.
Yes.
So
make sure you check it out. It's called Travesía. It's the latest, we can say.
It's the latest work, yes.
The latest work of Mayelin López. It's based on Dominican culture and also her experience, with kids in the autism spectrum.
Yes.
And I can see it's very colorful. It's little cows with I don't know how to. You see the masks that they have in the carnival in the Dominican Republic that has like a.
Esos son los joyeros, los pepineros. Yes. And that's another thing. It's so diverse.
Because I see all these little masks, like with different little.
And
colors.
even the carpet. That's called the pellizas. It's the carpet that we use in the Dominican Republic. They take rice sacks and they sew whatever pieces of fabric they have left to use as a carpet in their houses. Right. So it's very deep rooted in culture.
Right. Oh my God. Now I haven't. I came and I looked through some items, but I have to just pay a little more attention to the details, because you might be walking by and see a box and you don't even know what it is, but if you see the context behind the creation of it or what it's meaning, what it's saying, it's very deep. Every piece of the exhibition is like that. There's one piece that is like a bunch of food together, like una compra.
Yeah, but if you remember, in the Dominican Republic, there's two paintings that you're gonna find. The first one is the amazing flamboyant, the beautiful red tree with the Dominican house.
Yes.
The second one that you're going to find is el bodegón, that is with the little pieces of fruit, the jar of water hecho de barro, but this is a new version of it.
Right.
For you to buy tomatoes, it's in a plastic containers. For you to have the fruit, it's in a jar of orange juice. So it's a dual situation. And at the same time, now we have TVs all over our houses. But now we have our TVs to look like paintings. So that's the analogy on that painting. If you look in the back, it's a TV box holding the whole exhibit.
Yeah, so for people who get an idea, what they're looking at, it's like a flat TV, right?
It's a flat TV.
It's like the 3D coming out. It's like una compra.
Yeah, but that's my kids' diet. And then it's an analogy between when you eat fast food, what they pretending that is good for you, And then every time you ask someone, have you said like, oh my God, you need to eat your vegetables. And then you say, well, there's lettuce in the burger. So it's an analogy to that. You can see the lettuce, you can see the pieces of fries. Even the fries in the piece are made out of fries cardboard. Because at the end of the day, we're eating things that are not healthy for us.
Yeah.
But we need to put it in a healthy diet.
Mayelin, the city of Elizabeth is evolving, it's growing, it's developing quick. How do you see your work being part of that development and that growth that the city is having and this renaissance in a way?
As I mentioned before in the beginning of this interview, the power of one. What one person can do. I had a meeting in February with Porfirio Garcia, and he says, I have a vision in my mind on how I want the city to look. But at the same time, how I want people that live outside to preserve us. So at the end of the day, this work is meant to be spread and it's meant to be outside. So what projects do we have for the community to enjoy in spaces that are communal? Of course, we always need the support of the city. We need some permits to accomplish all those things, but that's what other offices and other programs are doing. So I just see my work growing, but at the same time teaching. Teaching. And not only teaching to kids in the spectrum, is teaching other kids acceptance.
Yes, because not a lot of people understand how to deal with people in the spectrum. And since it's the spectrum, there's a lot of different ways.
Yeah, and there's moments when you looking at the exhibit, you're the first one to hold your child not to touch it. We're encouraging everybody here to interact with the exhibit. If anything goes bad, the artist can fix it.
Right.
So
that's a good one, because I used to go to, any artist exhibits. Hey,
don't touch, no, like we welcome you. For example, there's puzzle pieces, 3D Dominican, the Dominican Lego. I mean, if you see those puzzles, one is Boca Chica.
I see it.
The other one is the fruit stand next to my grandmother's house.
Right.
The other one is a lottery banca that don't exist anymore because development is just, taking over. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
Right.
But it means that it's only staying in your memories of a childhood.
Right. It's like the folklore of our,
yes,
our folklore.
Deep-rooted Dominican folklore.
So I wanted to ask you about folklore because you had something called Folk SDQ 809, which is like the folklore of the Dominican Republic. 809 is the
zip code.
code.
Yeah, the area code.
For the phone, like, the code for the...
But this is a catch on this. SDQ is the routing number for flights to the Dominican Republic. So if you search in Google, the first thing is going to appear is my site. Even though it's not a site, but you will find the name.
Right.
So I'm a routing number to my own island.
Oh, wow.
So it's a kind of like a marketing strategy moving forward in the future. Yeah. Because even though this is the first exhibit in a gallery, I have done private collections for school, art school in New York City, or for private collectors. So this is the biggest scale that I have worked on so far.
Wow. Well, my friends from In the Mixx, we're here getting to know Mayelin López. She's an artist that used the Dominican folklore to create beautiful art, very colorful, very I don't know. It just brings me back to my childhood.
Yeah.
When there's some of the things that you haven't seen for a while and you have them here. It's even I'm gonna take a picture of one of them that it's just like out of the box. Like it's a Dominican mask, right? But it's made out of a bucket.
Yeah, it's made out of detergent. And that piece is called Dominican York. It's called Dominican York because this is something, if you go to the Dominican Republic, you will find Dominican American kids, second generation, third generation, born in the United States. And what they would do, they would split themselves into flags. You will see the American flag during the Dominican parade.
Yeah.
So that's an homage of Dominican York. That's the way we call it. Ay, viene el Dominican York.
Dominican York, sí, es una persona que has lived here for a long time. And then when they go back to DR,
they're constantly
can
traveling.
Show that they are not from. I mean, they're from there, but they have.
You notice, you can see.
Está comiendo con flay.
You can sense that he doesn't live in the Dominican Republic. So
yeah.
That's an homage to the Dominican York. Yeah.
Hey, the whole exhibit is interesting to me. Our producer here, she's telling me, check the questions that I made for you to ask her. I want to make sure that, that I did everything that she asked. She told me to ask you about your personal journey. We did that. Let's see what else. Nah. What impact do you hope to have in the community? We talk about that. We know that. We're gonna impact. How do you start your own development, Santo Domingo? We asked that. That's very good. I think we covered all the points. Is there anything else that you want the people to know about the work that you do in your journey doing this type of art?
Dominicans need to support Dominicans. Because for you, it's something that you used to see. You used to see in a mask. Doesn't mean we don't need the support. I come from a very deep political background from the Dominican Republic. So everything you do needs to have a purpose beyond the art.
A message.
A message. Besides the message of inclusion, besides the message of upcycling and taking care of your city, is the message of how can we bring or show that the Dominican is a gigantic community, that we live here, that we welcome you if this is an option for you. So for me, and I'll say it, I'm the first Dominican to have a solo exhibit. I know there are being other one sharing spaces because the Chamber of Commerce and the Renaissance Foundation open spaces for all of those people to come through and shine. But I'm the first one to have a solo exhibit. Come around, look around. There are pieces here that even you are shocked to see. An amapola tree, a bodegon, a box of shipping, but then you see your flag on it and it's a deeper understanding, a deeper feeling, a deeper meaning.
True.
And it really, see it in the swing. Take a little swing, it will bring you to your childhood. When was the last time you sat in the swing? You don't remember.
Right.
So it's an interactive exhibit. Come around, we welcome you. And even big commissioners from the Dominican community are welcome to come and walk through. We trying to represent as much as we can the Dominican Republic. We more than beaches. We more than Rome and Mama Juana. We more than La Parada Dominicana. We are deep-rooted folklore and culture.
True. Gracias por estar con nosotros, señores. Mayelin López here in the mix. We've learned about not only the Dominican culture, but when you come to your exhibits, it's about the Latino, Hispanic spirit, like the spirit that you get when you in a new country.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're coming from, even if it's rooted in the Dominican folklore and culture. I think it teaches everybody a little bit about, our journey in this country.
Yes.
And also thanking Elizabeth Chamber of Commerce, thanking the
Renaissance Foundation,
the city that,
the city of Elizabeth.
The city of Elizabeth.
I wouldn't even be here.
Have this opportunity, and that's something that we have to applaud, because if you didn't have this opportunity, we didn't get to see all of this, which is incredible.
I was just a Dominican mom walking through the doors, trying to take a shot on an opportunity of exhibiting with other women in the community.
Yes.
That's what it was. So,
Señoras y señores, Mayelin López in the mix.
Thank you so much.